Hi, I'm Maddie, and I'm going to be reading a little bit of The Trail of Shards, which is a book that I wrote, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. It's not out yet, and it's not finished yet, but it will be, and I'm going to continue writing it as I post more and more of these chapters. But before I get started, I just want to mention, if there's anyone who plans on watching this and ends up not liking it, I'm sorry if you don't like my story. It's just, sometimes it happens. I am just a kid, so I'm not going to be perfect. But if you put something nasty in the comments, I just want you to know that you're a horrible person. So, let's begin. The Trail of Shards by Madeline E. Boatright. Dedicated to Taryn Trigler for supporting me the most and for coming up with a hippie dream. Allie Elliott for starting a Jackson fan club of one person. Jasmine Watson is the inspiration for Sarah. Heather Mazzino, inspiration for Mrs. Dwent. Grace Martin, inspiration for, Grace Martin. Mark Boatright, inspiration for Jackson Dwent. Kiani Perez, inspiration for Corolla Dern. Kristen Boatright, inspiration for Janet Wettrith. Lauren Powers, inspiration for Lisa. Everybody who is an inspiration for characters, please do not be offended if that person dies. I will warn you, it is likely. Prologue. I kicked up a hunk of dry gray dirt and knocked it back and forth between my feet, kicking it over the cracks in the earth. I looked up from my game of colorless hate, only to see the same thing as the last time I'd checked. A dull prairie of waste, nothing as far as the eye could see. No sign of any life. Nothing had survived. I surrendered to my aches and pains, collapsing to my knees in an effortless flop. I'd been walking for 17 days and had almost given up. It was a moderate, comfortable temperature with a slight breeze, but even still I shuddered at the reality of what was happening. Instead of standing back up and pushing on, I stayed there, defenses lowered, sitting on the ground and staring at what was left of the world. Just a dull gray crust and a core that had burned out and destroyed itself. For the first time in at least 10 years, I cried. I touched the ground with my pointer finger and dragged it in a small spiral. Within this spiral, I made a yellow flower grow. I picked it and twirled it between my fingers before placing it in my hair, directly behind my right ear. This only made the tears flow more freely, as it reminded me of the years past. So many years. It seems like just yesterday. I began to think back, way back to my beginning, back to the year 17, and I chuckled. Chapter 1. The Mud Queen. "Lisa!" I shouted from across the courtyard. "We'll be late! Hurry!" A short, thin girl with medium-length, brown-red hair came charging towards me. She led a few stray hens, and her dress was a pale green ball gown, soaked in mud and tattered at the ends. Her sleeves had a tinge of brown added to them that was only a shade off from her eyes. She ran with only one shoe and a smile that with the word "guilty" written all over it. "What on earth happened?" I sputtered, in a way that made my eyes look about twice their actual size. "Well, the farmer was bringing in his pigs for slaughter, and they just looked so cute, and I got distracted by the chickens, and one of them laid an egg in my shoe, so I just had to leave it, and I—" Her voice trailed off, and she shut up when she saw my face. It must have been quite a sight to see, the way she was drenched in manure, and the face I was making was that of a poorly stitched stuffed animal. Yes, it was that bad. No exaggeration. Okay, save it. We need to get you to Genevieve before she flips her lid." She shifted her smile from one of culpability to that of determination, nodding her head in one swift jolt. She trotted along behind me, with only 14 years on my shoulders, and only 10 on hers. We ran quite efficiently through the castle's labyrinth of hallways. I opened the door to my aunt's chamber in a rush, almost knocking over the full-length mirror in the corner, as I scurried in, dragging Lisa behind me. I scanned the room for her, but had no success in finding the lady I was looking for, my aunt. Just as I turned around, still breathing heavily, I saw Genevieve hurrying down the hall towards us. "Girls, where were you? I've been looking everywhere, and—" She paused, looking at Lisa. "I could have sworn that dress was green a moment ago." she finished calmly. Lisa looked down at herself, as if realizing for the first time that her petite figure was almost completely coated in the crusty dirt. She chuckled, gave a little "I'm so dead" smile, and followed Aunt Genevieve to get changed. I was told to go ahead, and that I would be met later that night, when Lisa, my cousin, was presentable. When I arrived in the main ballroom, my eyes immediately locked onto the masterpiece sitting in the corner, the cake. Jackson, a friend of mine, came over. I've been asking for it for the last hour, but they keep saying things like, "Don't spoil your dinner," and "It's rude to lick the icing." Whatever. Cake is cake, no matter how long they make me wait for it. He had obviously seen me staring at it. I smiled in silent agreement. "So, where's Lisa? I thought I saw her playing with pigs earlier." I chuckled. "Your eyes have not failed you," I said. I was following right behind her. I had her following right behind me, and when I turned around, she was gone. After nearly an hour of calling her name, she came running around the corner drenched in muck, at which point I was under the belief that I would be held responsible for her foolishness. Thanks the heavens that the last bit has thus far proven itself false. We both laughed. By 8 p.m., Lisa finally joined her own birthday celebration. Okay, that's the end of Chapter 1, and since I'm recording this on my iPad, I need to be able to save space. So Chapter 2 will be posted almost immediately, and I hope you enjoyed. Oh, and I'm really sorry if I sputter a little bit. It's kind of hard to read my own handwriting.